What's up, evolutioners? Rizu the Umbreon here, along with...
Lyns?
Moosh.
The wonderful and ever exciting Jet.
Who doesn't play any Nintendo games?
Alright, you know what? Let's not carry this over from last week's.
Today we're talking about Gen 2. And now, most of us, we started with Gen 1, but I think Gen 2 is the one that really stuck with most of us because by the time we were old enough to really enjoy it, I think that's when we really got into Gen 2. Where Gen 1 came out when we were all still pretty little. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so like we remember playing it, but we remember playing Gen 2 a bit more. I'm going to start off with like how we all got our Gen 2 and what our Gen 2 team was. Me myself, as I said in our last Gen 1, is that I got my pink see-through Game Boy Advance with my Pokemon Yellow, my Pokemon Crystal. I have to say that, I loved it. Played it, I don't know how many times. I will replay Crystal as well. And my first team, I started off with Chikorita, and then I went with a Zubat, which I went and fully evolved it, an Umbreon, and then Gyarados, shiny Gyarados, because that thing was awesome and it was red, and I didn't know that anyone else had it. And I had two more that I kept switching out, so I don't really count them as part of my team because I just kept switching them out with new Pokemon to see how they would work.
For me, Gen 2 was my very first Pokemon game ever. That I owned myself and I didn't have to share. Or, I didn't have to if I didn't want to, and that was something great. My first game was Gold, though I do personally prefer Silver over Gold. I loved the crap out of my Gold. It was amazing for me, and just I lost so many hours of my childhood in that Gold version. I don't have it anymore. I'm pretty sure my younger brother lost it, which is a little heartbreaking. It is what it is. And my first team, for my starter, I think I picked, I want to say Cyndaquil because it looked really cool. But honestly, I love all two gen starters a lot. And I know I had definitely an Espeon on my team. Espeon is definitely one of my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon. And I also had an Azumarill on my team that I evolved from a Marill. Because I also love the Marill line. Meryl's definitely my favorite, though.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty young when Gen 2 came out. I think I was like 9, 10, I don't know. So I don't really remember how I got it, but I do remember that I started with Crystal. Because I was one of the cool kids that got both Ho-Oh and Lugia. And everyone was like really jealous because my friends had either gold or silver. And I'm just like, well, suck it. My favorite Gen 2 Pokemon has got to be Suicune, though. I don't know why it's my favorite legendary and my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon out of all of them. I just really like the way it looks, and I've always loved water types and ice types. Even though it's not technically an ice type, it's kind of icy. Which I never understood why it's not an ice type when one of its signature moves is Aurora Beam. For my first starter, I picked Cyndaquil and evolved into Typhlosion, and then I got Tyranitar. I had an Umbreon. No, Ursaring, a Houndoom, an Ampharos. I had a Scizor. That was my team. It's not the best team, but it was pretty fun. Those are some of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 2.
It's not like we chose our Pokemon based on stats anyway back then.
We basically went by what looked cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the good old days when you could just Earthquake a mother and kill him one hit.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, at one point I had a full evolution team because it was like a perfect amount.
That is very
Back
true.
in the day when there were only 6.
Yep.
Alright, so I have a pretty funny story for when I got my Gen 2 game. So I actually got both gold and silver at the same time. So it was kind of funny because Pokemon was still a craze back then, and the day it came out, the line to the Best Buy was ridiculous. So we're lined up at the Best Buy, waiting for the doors to open. Doors open, everyone goes running in, right to where all the games are being held. And they're flying off the shelves like that. My mom went to grab a game. She grabbed gold, and she tried to get silver. This old lady takes silver out of her hand, and I remember it clear as day. My mom takes her purse, whacks this lady upside the head, says, "That's for my son," and takes it from her. And I ended up with both gold and silver because of my mom.
That's
Because
fantastic.
my mom is freaking awesome.
Oh my god.
So,
Your mom is amazing. I wish she was my mom. I am like so jealous of you, Jet. You have no clue.
dude, my mom, because this old lady basically took it from me, and my mom was like, "That's for my son, you," and slapped this lady across the face with the purse.
Dude, I really wish my mom was that cool.
My mom understood how much I loved Pokemon back then, and she was not going to let anyone take away from my fun. What can I say? I'm a mama's boy.
No, that's totally awesome, Jet. You have no clue. I mean, like, I wish my mom would do that. My mom just keeps telling me it's a phase.
Yeah.
She's like, it's a phase. You're gonna grow out of it. You're gonna hate it someday. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, my cat's freaking named after a game.
Yeah.
My mom still tells me I'm going to grow out all this. You're going to grow out going to cons. You're going to grow out of it Pokemon and anime and conventions. And I just look at her and I go,
Oh, my mom knew I was never going to grow out of it. She said, "You love what you love. You like whatever you want to like. That's what you want to like, you like it." My mom always fought for me, and she still does it. But
I wish
anyways,
my mom was that cool.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Anyways, my first Gen 2 team. So I had a Typhlosion named Typhlo. I had a Pidgeot named Geot. Let's see here. I had a Slowbro named Bra.
slow bra.
I had, I can remember. I had Yama. I forget. I think it was named Green. I think I named it Green for some reason. I had the Red Gyarados, of course, and I named that Rage. And then I had Piloswine, which I named Bacon. So it was a unique team. It was a really unique team, and I still love that team to this day. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that got through the Elite Four with a Yama. That was my first Gen 2 team. That was for Gold, I think. Yeah, I think that was for the Gold version. The Silver version, I did Chikorita, Noctowl, Ursaring, Skarmory, because I thought it'd be cool to have 2 flying types for some reason. Jinx, and I believe Lickitung. Because I remember you could catch a Lickitung outside of Mahogany Town. I thought it was the coolest thing. But yeah, that was my Gen 2 team.
Nice.
I like it.
I'm actually blown away at the fact that you can even remember all their names. I can't remember them. I can't even
You know
remember.
what? It's funny. I can't remember what the hell I learned in school back then, but I can remember clear as day what my Pokemon's names were.
Now,
What were they feeding you? Like,
Yeah,
what was this
really.
feeding you? That's like what I'm
The
thinking.
Pokemon Pop-Tarts. I was being fed Pokemon Pop-Tarts.
I miss those.
Oh,
So jealous.
you know what? I had a pretty decent childhood.
Minus the rock you lived under.
Yeah, it was a nice little rock. Even though I was never exposed to anything other than Pokemon Nintendo-wise.
I do agree. Other than Link's Awakening Link's Awakening was my only Legend of Zelda game growing up. I was mainly Sega growing up, then to PlayStation, and then to Xbox when Xbox came out.
See, I had a Sega in my between me and my cousin's house, we had Sega N64 and a PlayStation 1, and we played the shit out of all 3, and then we went up to a GameCube as well, and I mean, we've had all 3. Xbox was never really in any of my family until now when my
Smart
husband
woman.
brought it in.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Your husband should be crucified.
I know, right? Have some games you have to pay to play. Fuck that shit. So, getting back to our Generation 2 podcast, Moosh had already talked about his favorite Pokemon being Suicune. Lindsay, what was your favorite Pokemon?
I have to say definitely Espeon back then. I mean, now I've grown a deep love for Ampharos. And I've also grown a deep love for Meryl. This is a hard one, for sure. But if I had to really pick one, I mean, my URL is facebook.com Lyns loves Espeon, so I think I should go with Espeon for this one.
So, favorite Gen 2 Pokemon? That's a loaded question because Generation 2 is, without a doubt, my favorite generation. So, there's obviously a lot of options for me to pick from. I gotta think about this because there are a lot of Gen 2 Pokemon I like.
Yeah, Gen 2 was really good.
So, right now, it always depends on the mood I'm in. Right now, I'm in the mood to say Typhlosion.
Nice.
Typhlosion was just an absolute badass. And I remember when Quilava evolved into Typhlosion, and I was just like, ah! I'm just like, yo, this thing's awesome! You got the flame shooting out its neck, and then I remember I was taking it through the Elite Four, and the motherfucker learned Flamethrower. I'm like, this is the most awesome move! I'm just like, this dude's awesome! I remember it was my first time playing through Gen 1, and I was fighting Lance. And I remember this because I remember that morning. As a kid, I was always afraid of needles, so this was traumatizing for me because that morning I had to go get blood taken. But I remember fighting Lance that morning before that fateful car ride. And I remember it came down to Typhlosion and Lance's level 50 Dragonite. And I remember, that Typhlosion getting that win for me when I had nothing left. So that Typhlosion's always going to have a special place in my heart when it comes to Gen 2.
Nice. Looking at it now, I definitely agree with Lance. It'd be very hard, and Jet as well. Because, again, that's the one that we remember playing more. And, with the new Megas, I have to remember to keep those out because Houndoom right now just is a badass looking But that's not back then. So going back then, it's definitely, Umbreon, Rizu the Umbreon, and then Lugia for sure. I have an ocarina, I can play Lugia's song, and just that movie, Pokemon 2000, though it came out technically a bit before Gen 2, just that whole thing was my favorite when it came to that. And then Umbreon, just because I played more at night, so it made sense that I kind of fell in love with Umbreon a bit more than with Espeon.
Sorry, my parents weren't cool. They didn't let me play at nighttime.
I remember I had one of those game lights that went on your Game Boy Color. I remember driving back from North Carolina at night, and it was a pain in the ass to play the game. And I was playing Pokemon Gold, and we're driving back, and I'd finally reached Kanto. And I was pissed off because I couldn't see anything because we were driving at night. So I'm frantically using the highway streetlights to try and play. And I think I ran into my first Houndoom there. Or Houndour. Houndour. That one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, my grandma got me this big thing that came with an extra battery pack with chargeable batteries and extra cords and a battery pack to bring with me so I could charge it on the go and the clip-on light. And my mom would turn off the light, I'd pull it out, go underneath the blankets, turn on that little clip-on light, and start playing. So it's not that Mom let me, it's,
my parents did get me one of those plug-in lights and whatnot, and my dad had a bunch of rechargeable batteries for us. But if we got caught on them, we got grounded, so sometimes it wasn't really worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it was nice for the car rides, definitely. It definitely sometimes caused fights because I had the light that I got for like a Christmas gift or a birthday gift or whatever, and my brother on his, he didn't have one, so the light would cause issues between us because he would want it, but it's mine and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, because then I was playing my Game Boy and he wasn't, so. But other than that, I mean, Thomas and I don't fight anymore. We're buddy-buddy.
Yeah. So I guess another part is the anime. What did you guys like about the second gen anime compared to like the first gen? What didn't you like?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Like I know, Lyns, you were talking about off the podcast when we were all just kind of chatting. I know you were talking about Tracy.
Oh, so Gen 2 as in with Tracy coming in. I mean, I liked he had Meryl, so that made me like him as a character. I mean, it was interesting having him on as a character from Brock, from Brock being pervy and whatnot, and Tracy's like drawing all the time and wanting to study Pokemon, which was an interesting side. I mean, Brock was studying to be basically a nurse for Pokemon, right? Or a Pokemon breeder. That's what he was doing. He was studying to be a Pokemon breeder.
Well, that's what Brock was doing.
I think Tracy was trying to be a Pokemon photographer or Pokemon artist.
Yeah,
He always
that's what.
had the sketchbook, and his ultimate dream was to work with Professor Oak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyone else's opinion on the anime compared to like what it was beforehand, what it is new now?
2 words: Ash's Totodile. Totodile was the most happiest looking motherfucker I'd ever seen, but I absolutely loved that Pokemon.
Yeah, I do admit
It
Totodile.
was dancing while battling. I thought Ash's Totodile was awesome. I thought Misty's Politoed was awesome.
I also enjoyed Ash having a shiny Noctowl.
Yes,
Mhm.
that was awesome.
Yes, for sure.
And Bayleaf. Bayleaf was
Bayleaf!
pretty cool, too.
His little Chikorita that had a crush on him, like that thing had an attitude if someone hit it on Ash or
I
Ash.
don't think Chikorita liked Pikachu very much.
I don't think Chikorita did.
And then, of course, I mean, the dumbest moment of the Gen 2 anime, but it was one that had to happen in terms of just Ash becoming too overpowered, was him leaving Charizard.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
With Charla.
that was worse than Butterfree for me. Because Charizard was always my favorite Ash Pokemon, other than Squirtle. Oh, but then he left Squirtle too. No, you know what? Screw
He
Charizard.
left all of
The
them.
worst moment was when he left Squirtle.
Hey, but at least he brought some of them back. Like he got Charizard back in when it came to 5th generation anime.
And
Yeah,
he came
Charizard
back
did come
for
back.
the third movie too.
Yeah,
Or did
for
he?
the third one. You know, the one with Entei. So yeah, the third movie.
And he still got Bulbasaur, which is pretty cool, because I like Bulbasaur too. Bulbasaur had an attitude. You want to talk about attitude. Bulbasaur.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when he left Squirtle, everyone thinks Charizard, but then I just remembered, oh, he leaves Squirtle too.
Squirtle goes back to the Squirtle squad though because they needed a leader again.
Yeah, which was cool, but it's like, I love Squirtle. Squirtle's awesome.
But it's not like he just like left him on the side of the road like, you know, Charizard's original owner did.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, he let them go in a good way. And he can still call upon them.
And that's what's the coolest thing about him, I guess.
And you know what? I'm still waiting for Squirtle to come back.
I'm waiting for Butterfree to come back. With children.
Butterfree's never coming back.
No. What about
Butterfree's dead.
Pidgeot?
He left Pidgeot. He told Pidgeot he was going to come back for it, and he leaves Pidgeot and never comes back.
Exactly.
Now, wouldn't it be
Ash is
something?
kind of a
if in the new anime he gets Pidgeot back as his Mega.
That would be so cool.
But
Yeah.
all signs are pointing to he's going to get Sceptile as his Mega.
Yeah, probably, which is like, yeah.
Well, you know what? I'd rather be Sceptile than Charizard because I like Sceptile more than I like Charizard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What if he gets like Squirtle back, but it's a Blastoise now?
Oh my god, if it puts on the Squirtle Squad shades as a Blastoise, I will be the happiest man on the planet. I once had a dream. It was like my Pokemon wet dream. It's like Ash gets Squirtle back, and Squirtle rapidly evolves into Blastoise. And he just puts the Squirtle Squad sunglasses on, and just turns to the camera and goes, yeah. I'm like, they evolved it for me, because they know how much I love Blastoise.
That's great.
You're a riot sometimes.
Look, I'm just here like the rest of you. I pay my taxes like everyone else.
So that, yeah, definitely. I guess another question is too for Gen 2 is they added a lot of new features. Like this being the second game, they had to do such a big jump just to keep it relevant since like Pokemon had taken over the world. But now how do they one up this giant thing that's taken over? So they added in a whole bunch of new things with Gen 2. What's some of your favorite features for that?
Some of my favorite features for Gen 2 were the day and night cycle. I liked how there was different Pokemon that you could find, or Pokemon like Eevee that could evolve depending on what time of day it was. And I just thought it was so cool that the day, like the time of day actually changed depending on what time it was. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. I definitely
That and the Pokeballs.
I was just about to go into that about the new Pokeballs and everything. I don't know how many times I went and like brought my apricorns in. I'm like, make me more. All of them.
Even though there was some flaws with the Love Ball, it actually had a higher catch ratio for same gender Pokemon.
Pokemon. They liked same gender everything before the world did.
Pokemon, spreading gay love before everyone else.
Well, Jet, what about you? What other stuff did you kind of like back then?
I thought the introduction of breeding was very cool. And genders as well. Eggs was pretty cool. Shiny Pokemon. This introduced shiny Pokemon. Day-night cycle, of course, but the biggest feature for me was at the end of the game, you get on a little boat and you go back to Kanto. And the nostalgia just fills your mind. You come off the boat and there's Vermilion City and you hear the classic Vermilion City song. And you get to fight all the gym leaders. Then you get the showdown with Red Hat. It's hard to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And, back then, it was considered a big deal. Today, it's run-of-the-mill. It's normal to us.
Yep.
If you want to talk about importance, Gen 1 was not the most important game in the series. Gen 2 was the most important game in the series because it laid the groundwork for what we have today. It introduced the special attack, special defense split as well.
That was Gen 4.
No, Gen 2 introduced that. Special attack and special defense were introduced in Gen 2.
Oh, I thought you meant the split.
No, not the physical special split.
I got you.
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, too, it's like Gen 1's important because that's what started it. But Gen 2 is what they did to show, yes, we can up that. And we'll show you we will up it again. And that's kind of like the promise they made, and they've kept up to it.
Yes.
Did you guys know Gen 2 was actually supposed to be the last game in the series?
Yes.
But because of its popularity,
that's
they
something
kept
we
making
should
them.
get into.
Yeah.
What
for
if
sure.
that was the last game?
All of our stuff would be more expensive.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now.
Probably not.
No, and your 150 Pokemon toys would be able to actually sell for something.
My God, that would be the day. Oh, they probably don't know. Fans, I have the original 150 Pokemon toys that I think McDonald's, one of the fast food retailers did when Pokemon the first movie came out. I have all 150 of them still in the bag up in my attic, hoping I'll be able to sell them for like $1,000. Apparently, it's worth about $1.50 the entire collection. Sad day. Sad day.
But yeah, that would be so weird for it. I mean, people would still follow it, but it's not something people would grow up with. Like if you like people go back and go, yeah, I remember this, I remember that. I used to love it for things that were there for a little bit, but it's things like Pokemon or Harry Potter that grows with you through the years. That's really gonna stick with you. So yeah, we wouldn't be here.
You almost cannot cancel Pokemon if you think about it. Looking to the future, you almost cannot cancel it.
Oh yeah, now they can't, because if they did, it's holy.
That Nintendo would go bankrupt.
No, for sure. Like Pikachu is like for the World Soccer thing, Pikachu was the Japanese mascot.
And let's be honest, Nintendo's biggest cash cow is Pokemon. If they were to cancel it, I guarantee Nintendo would be bankrupt within 2 years.
But I think that's why they're trying to look at so many different games like Pokemon Go and Pokemon Shuffle, where they're trying to get it separate than like the regular Pokemon game a little bit more than what they were before.
So they can spread out.
Yeah.
Whereas we were getting a new gen every 3 years, what may end up happening is we may get a new gen every 6 years. I think that's what's going to wind up happening.
Well, yeah, especially now with the downloadable content, you can download updates and whatnot, and that way they can make it last a little bit longer. They can stretch it a bit.
Packs. You know, with Pokemon Z coming out, well, it hasn't been announced, but we all know it's probably going to be coming out. Now that you got the downloadable content feature, you could add expansions. Of course, people are going to bitch about adding expansions to stuff, but let's be realistic here. We all would buy it.
Yep.
If Pokemon Z got announced introducing the Johto expansion, go back to Johto, we'd all be on that.
Yep.
I'd be hopping on that boat for sure. I mean, if we're going to Johto, I'm going back because that is definitely my favorite region too. I love the layout of Johto. It's so beautiful, and I would love to view it in a time skip.
Yeah,
kind of like how we got to see Kanto in Gen 2.
Right, and I think that's what it comes to is, you know, if you're to ask me what my favorite map is, Johto's my favorite map. It's so well designed.
It's gorgeous.
It really is. Though I have to say, if breeding, Gen 2 with breeding and everything, like how many people would use Dittos as actually Dittos? Now, if breeding wasn't brought in, or would Ditto just be off to the side? Would people even catch it as much?
I used to competitively use a Ditto. You heard that right. I used to competitively use a Ditto.
Is that a good competitive Pokemon?
Hell no, but I wanted to be like that dude from the Orange Islands.
With the, that was a female that did that one.
No, the champion of the Orange Islands who had the Dragonite and the Venusaur and the Gengar and the Ditto and the Electabuzz. What was the other one? I think it was Onyx.
Oh, what about the Crystal Onyx?
Oh, yes. I really wish they could bring in some of those special Pokemon.
To the games?
Yeah.
And what about, like, the pink Butterfree from Bye Bye Butterfree? Shiny Butterfree doesn't look like that.
Oh, yeah, the Pokemon that porked Butterfree.
The pink.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, that's a special one, because it's not even shiny. It's like an albino almost, except I guess albino is a shiny, so what would that be then?
Right?
Wow, we have just discovered the meaning of shiny. Shiny on our albinos. What a day.
Well, it's true for some of the Pokemon that are shiny. Some of them get a lighter coat or
green.
The Pikachu.
I
have albino Pikachu.
I just hate how some of them, it's like, I'm going to get lazy. Green. How many green shinies are there, though?
Espeon's green shiny.
Yeah, but a lot of them are. It's like, if they don't know what to do, they're just going to make it green.
Actually, honestly, it's not really doing that. It's the reverse color palette or something or another like that of those colors. And those colors happen to be green.
But how many colors opposites are green? I'm
like
just messing.
on like the 8-bit or something with the pixels though.
Pickles?
Mhm.
The
Pickles.
pixels.
Well, I
Pickles
mean,
are green.
that kind of looks like a pickle in that color.
The pixels, I'm sorry. Um, so it's because of the pixels, the reverse color of those pixel colors, um, because they had limited colors back then, that if that palette was opposite green, it would go to green. That's why.
Wow.
A lot of pixels have that green for the colors. I don't know. It's weird.
That makes sense.
I used to draw and do really bad edits on Paint, and I would know that from that because you would use 64-bit sometimes as a style for the
Mhm.
coloring, and a lot of colors were green.
Well,
Like
there we
when you
go.
change the picture to that 64, it would like change it. So
The more you know. Learn something new. So, is there anything else anyone really wants to bring up about this, or?
Well, I think we should give our overall reviews, to be honest. Well,
Absolutely. So, we'll start with you. What was your overall review?
wow. You know what? Ranking Generation 2, it's my favorite gen. Um, Without a doubt, my favorite gen. So many Pokemon that I love. You know, just going back, the big thing for me is going back to Kanto and reliving it all. And, you know, it's kind of like you complete the Johto region, and then you go back to Kanto, and it's like you're all grown up. You know, remember when you were a kid going through Viridian Forest? It was a scary thing. Gen 2, you're going through Viridian Forest. It's not even a forest. It's like you're back 3 years later, all grown up, and it's not scary to you anymore. You know, kind of like with Lavender Town, you know. You had the dark, creepy music in Gen 1, and you go there in Gen 2, and it's nice, and it's calming, and it's peaceful, and it's almost like you're not afraid anymore. For me, getting away from being afraid of stuff, and it kind of represents us growing up in a way. I don't know. I'm rambling here, but in my mind, I feel like the reason I like it so much is because it's a testament to us growing up, but still being able to love something that we liked as a kid. And I still feel that way when I replay it today.
Definitely, for sure. Like, my review of it is it's my favorite as well. That one I play over and over again. I've played mods of it. If I play anything, it's basically that one. And I mean, I can go back. I don't know why, but it's just the most replayable in my mind. But like my favorite part, I think, was the add-on to dark types, especially with Umbreon. I mean, that's my favorite Pokemon. We
We
also
didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about the type edition.
we didn't. So like my favorite part is definitely that. And I mean, you got Houndoom. I mean, you got literally a hound from hell, a hellhound
Skarmory.
brought in.
Skarmory was awesome.
Skarmory, steel types as
Steel
well
type.
being brought in. I mean, it changed up everything too, because you're like, oh wait, Magnemite and Magneton now fire super effective against them, where it wasn't beforehand, and Steelix and everything, and adding all these new Pokemon to it was fantastic.
Yeah.
What is that sound?
Um.
Moosh, what the hell are you doing? Because I know
Who
that's
said it's
coming from
me?
you.
What? I'm just sitting here listening to you guys.
It's like someone like rubbing up against a mic,
That's not me.
or like
I
scratching
don't
their
have a mic.
face, or scratching their face near something.
No.
I don't know.
Anyways,
Anyway, for Gen 2, that was my second favorite. I'll tell you guys my favorite when we get to that podcast. I remember it just being so good. It was my favorite for a while until my favorite came out. But I can still go back and play it today. Like, no problem. I can't do that with Gen 1 because of how broken it is. Like, I'll play Fire Red or Leaf Green, but with Gen 2, I can go back and play it no problem. I'm actually in the middle of a Silver playthrough. I'm up to Goldenrod.
Yeah, Goldenrod was an interesting city. And of course, it featured the mill tank from hell. I can go on a rant about what a pain in the ass that thing was.
I never had a problem with that mill tank.
Well, you
I think
clearly have not experienced hell.
I think a lot of the problem with Miltank is a lot of people chose Cyndaquil, which is a fire type, and is weak
That
to
was the
rollout.
problem. Is most of us. Well, even when I used Totodile, the thing was still a pain because it would stomp you to death, and then you'd flinch when it stomped you, and then you get it close to death and milk drink. It was the mill tank from hell, without a doubt.
The only thing that I'm gonna say is every time I battle Whitney, it makes me crave a cheeseburger. Every time.
Well,
That
there
does
you
raise
go.
an interesting question, though. Do the people in the Pokemon universe eat Pokemon?
Yes.
You've
I
never
wonder
had
what,
Flamin' Magikarp?
Well,
I
you
wonder
can
what some Pokemon would taste like.
regular animals, maybe. Who
Hmm.
knows? But
How
they,
about some of that delicious Pidgey?
well, maybe not Pidgey, because
That
that'd be a
probably tastes pretty
pigeon.
good.
Yeah, Pidgey would be a pigeon.
Maybe no urban like bird Pokemon.
I'd eat a Charmander.
You'd
I
eat
like spicy
This got dark really quick.
food. Really.
But are like Pokemon actually like part of that world? I mean, you hear mention of like actual animals a little bit, barely, but like slightly. So
Mhm.
there's another video for another time is whether or not Pokemon are aliens or whatnot. Because maybe they eat actual animals, or maybe they did eat actual animals, and then Pokemon came around, and now maybe they're all on like tofu and fake meat. Who knows?
Maybe everyone's just a vegetarian.
I don't think so though, because they kept like picturing cooked Pokemon in that one episode. I remember like the skewered up
Magikarp.
Magikarp.
That was pretty messed up. It was very traumatizing to me. I'm like, why would they do that? That was so sad.
And you know why Farfetches are so rare?
Why?
Don't you dare go there.
Because they were almost eaten to
No.
extinction.
Why?
Because what?
They were almost ate into extinction.
Oh my god. I can't.
Were they really?
Yes.
No, they
I'm
weren't.
pretty sure that was like an urban legend or creepypasta or something or another. Maybe, I don't know if it's true or not. We should
I
definitely
don't
look
think
that
I've
up.
heard that before.
I think it's a Pokedex entry. I'm gonna look this up.
Sarah B. Gen 3, Gen 5.
Yes, Farfetch, a wild duck Pokemon. Farfetch makes delicious meals, especially when cooked with leek. Because of this, Farfetch is nearly extinct.
That was actually from the anime.
Yep.
I
I
can't.
remember.
No,
Uh,
that's that. No, I can't. I can't.
That's episode 49
No.
from Ash's Pokedex.
You know,
I
Yum.
remember that
Ash's
episode.
Pokédex is a lying piece of garbage.
Pokemon gets really dark sometimes.
It's a shame.
All right, so what are the final thoughts from you, Moosh?
I already said my
We
final
already
thought.
gave them Lyns.
All right, sorry, Lynn's.
Yeah, it was my turn. I have to agree with Pat on it being a
Jet.
favorite gen.
It's late. It's midnight for us.
Say my name.
Jets.
You're damn right.
I have to definitely agree with Jets on it being a favorite gen. For me, my first game I got to myself that I didn't have to share. And I just played so much into that game. The breeding mechanics were so interesting because at the time I didn't understand completely. I was probably fourth grade. You don't get the sex talk until you're in like fifth or sixth grade, you know? So I didn't really understand breeding at that point. And what else? How they introduced gender. I remember trying so hard, resetting my game for a female starter. To have a full female team, and then I would also try to have a full team of males. So that was fun trying to do that. And just the towns in general, they were really beautiful in their own different ways, like the layouts and the themes they had to them, and how they were so different from how big they were and whatnot. Gen 2, I will go back today and still play. I mean, I can, play Gen 2 within a day and beat it. I mean, granted, I'm using the speed up on my laptop when I play, but it's still fun to go back and relive Gen 2 and the mechanics of it. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a good game. Everyone should play it. At least once.
All right, so I think that's everything for tonight. We are all going to head off now, so I'm going to sign off. Goodbye from Admin Rizu.
Goodbye
Yes.
from Admin Jet.
I'll see you guys next time.
Lynn signing off later.
Have a good night.